You are understanding that you are source energy expressing through these physical bodies. You are understanding that you are eternal beings, so much more than this one perspective. But oh, what a glorious experience it is when you allow your physical human personality to be vibrationally attuned to your source energy. It just does not get any better than that. And of course, you really can't stop that from happening. That just happens. In other words, you would not even be here if that were not happening. But you, who are beginning to understand what we have called science of deliberate creation, more recently, art of allowing, that you can control the degree to which you allow who you really are to flow. In fact, that's what allowing means. Allowing means how much of who I really am I allowing by my choice of thought to be present in this moment. When you're ornery, you're pinching some of it off. That's why you feel ornery. Really. When you're allowing who you really are to flow, you feel good. You feel as we feel. You feel clear. You feel sure. You feel invincible. You feel powerful. You feel eager. You feel adventurous. You feel kind. You feel willing. You feel compassionate. You feel understanding. You feel like giving others the benefit of the doubt. When you're edgy, when you're ornery, when you're feeling a little vulnerable, or when you're feeling defensive, when you're feeling guilty or blameful, when you're feeling fearful. These feelings are indications that you're pinching off who you are. And it's no wonder you feel bad. When you pinch off who you are, that's what feeling bad is. Instead of saying, I think I feel bad because you said such and such to me, or I think I feel bad because outside circumstances have happened in this way, we would like you to stop for a moment and say, oh, wait a minute. I feel bad for only one reason and one reason only. I feel bad because I'm not allowing who I really am to flow. And this is what it feels like when I pinch that off. We say, somebody should do something about that. And guess what? There is only one person who can. So, we have a new game for you to play. And the game goes like this. I've decided in my physical human form that I'm going to take complete, ultimate, only responsibility for everything that happens to me. I'm not ever again, it'll take a little getting used to, I'm not ever again going to blame somebody else for where I am, for how I'm feeling, for what's happening to me. Can you imagine if everyone would say, it's my job, my life is my job. So you don't blame your mate anymore, you don't blame your kids, you don't blame your parents, you don't blame your teacher, you don't blame circumstances. You say, I take full responsibility. The reason that this is ultimately so satisfying is because you have only ever always been the only ever always one who could only ever always do anything about anything in your life experience. Nobody else can do anything. In other words, asking someone else to change, even if they're willing, even if they can do it for 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years, even if you can get somebody else to contain their behavior so that you will feel better, you are the only one ever that could do anything about it. And so when you stop and think about it and you think, let's talk about the uprising, the seemingly eternal uprising in the Middle East. Everyone thinking that somebody else should do something different. And nobody else willing to do it different for the other. And we say, can you imagine how peaceful and wonderful experiences could be if each individual would understand that, hey, I can do something. I can do something. And what is it that we're asking you to do? We're asking you to choose any thought, any word, any action that allows who you are to come back in this moment. So, you are so angry at your mate or your mother or someone you work with, someone you work for. And they just seem to be ruining your life because they will not change their behavior. you do not seem to be important enough to them to change their behavior, which hurts your feelings a great deal. And then you discover, wait a minute, they don't have to change a thing in order for me to feel better. I can start looking for positive aspects. I can look for things within them that make me feel good. Oh, that's impossible, you say. There is so much that is bad and not much that is good. In fact, I haven't seen a glimmer of anything good for so very long. And we say, are there other subjects to which you could give your attention? Well, maybe. You say reluctantly. My dog. My dog is easy to love, or my cat. And we say, do whatever it takes to find something to be your object of attention. And as you give your attention to something that allows you to feel good, you've done something about this relationship that was bothering you. In fact, if you will make it your work to feel good, every relationship that you have will be one that pleases you. Now that's offensive to some of you because you've been holding others as being responsible for you feeling good for so long that it's sort of hard to let loose of that. It's sort of hard to let them be whatever they need to be while you selectively choose whatever it is that you need to choose to feel good. And we know, friends, it would be a lot easier for you to do this if they'd learned it first. But you can't wait for them to figure this out, and you don't need to, because once you figure it out, your life is going to feel so much better. It does not matter how many aspects of whatever it is you are giving your attention to that's making you feel bad. It does not matter how many negative aspects there are. It is our absolute knowing that in there somewhere are some positive aspects. Now, it might be that the way your relationship has been evolving, that you have begun to focus upon the aspects that you don't like. So you have activated that part of your vibration to an art, so that when you come together with this person or these people, that what they mostly show you is that part that is most active in your vibration. Did you hear that? What they mostly show you is the part that is most active in your vibration. It's such a wonderful thing. Did you hear that? What they keep showing you is the part of them that is most active in your vibration. And all this time you thought it was their doing. It is the part that is most active in your vibration. That's why when we say to you, somebody should do something about it, the person that we're always talking about is you, not them, you. Because, oh, we know they could stand on their head and they could work really hard to only show you things that would please you. But you know, you're sort of fickle in what you want from moment to moment. And they're outside of your emotional guidance system. They've got to find ways of pleasing you based upon the letters that you've written or the prenuptial agreements that you've signed or the arguments that you've had where you've come to, I promise I will never do that again. In other words, it's so awkward when you try to control the way you feel by controlling their behavior from the outside. We've never seen it work, not for very long. That's why it's easier to just keep moving to a new relationship where you have not activated in you the negative aspects of them. A new relationship is easier because you don't know much about them until you have that dinner when you say, tell me about yourself. Very good in coming together vows would be, I promise you I will never tell you anything about my past if you will promise me that you will never tell me anything about your past. Let's start in this fresh place. Please don't tell me about any of your failures, because as sure as you do, I'm going to activate them in my vibration, and then I'm going to suck them right out of you, and then our relationship is just going to be like all the other lousy relationships you and I have ever had. Let's not do that. Let's start fresh. So tomorrow what we want you all to do is leave everyone that you know. Go out into the desert all alone, meditate, and start your lives over with all fresh new vibration. So what we're getting at here, of course you're not going to do that, and we really do not want you to do that. It would be easier if you could do that. But if you were to do that, if you were to start all over with all fresh new relationships, without understanding what we're really going to talk about all day here today, before long you'd be right back in the same situation where you'd need to leave all of those relationships too. Because you have habits of vibration within you that evoke what happens in your life. And all this time you've been thinking that it was to do with other people. And it was never to do with other people. It's only about what you activate in your vibration. And then you say, and you're right, you say, but it wouldn't be active in my vibration if they weren't showing it to me all over the place. And we say, yes, but they're showing you a lot of things. If you will be more selective in your sifting, if it will matter more to you how you feel than anything else, then what your experience will be is one of bliss. Because as you look at a relationship that has been happening for a while, and you deliberately look for things that make you feel good, and you practice looking at things that make you feel good until you activate within yourself that vibration, then what happens is those people that you are interacting with literally rise to match your vibration. We're not kidding you about that. You've seen it sometimes with children. You'll see a child with one person behave one way and the same child with another person behave entirely differently. And you say, I cannot even believe that that is the same child. And what is happening is different people have activated different vibrations. In other words, you are multifaceted beings. Someone said to us recently, after talking through tears about some unpleasant things that were happening, I think this happened when I was in the 2nd grade. And now this is an adult, children of her own. I believe that this happened to me when I was in the 2nd grade. And we say, we think so too. We think that things happen along your physical trail. And some of them stand out really big in your life experience. Some of them are so bold and so big, or they get your attention in some dynamic way for a period of time, and they cause you to learn, sometimes over a gradual, long, hammering, steadily time, and sometimes in a very short, very fast, very flamboyant, very dramatic time. In other words, if when you're 4, the train runs over your toe, you will always have a different relationship with trains than most people that you know. When things happen like that, it causes you to begin to offer a vibration in a more dynamic way. And then what happens is, without knowing it, you practice those vibrations. You talk about them over dinner, you think about them, you dream about them, you write letters about them. Now you're writing electronic mail letters about them. In other words, you find yourself communicating about what your lives have been or about what your lives be. And so you keep alive a vibration within you that is the point of attraction. You remember that, don't you? This is a vibrational universe, and everything is about vibration. Everything is about law of attraction. It is a universe of inclusion. There is no exclusion. So whatever it is you are offering vibrationally, that represents your life experience. So let's say that you have a particular poignant relationship with someone when you are very young, and that relationship causes, for whatever reason, a vibration to be activated within you. Maybe you begin to feel vulnerable. Maybe somebody picks on you on a pretty regular basis, and you develop some patterns of vulnerability or defensiveness. And then you practice them and practice them and practice them so much so that almost everybody that shows up in your experience treats you in similar ways, until later people say about you, well, you have a chip on your shoulder, or you're very defensive. When you come into your first relationship, that begins to evolve pretty quickly. And then in psychotherapy, it is determined, well, that happened in 2nd grade. And we say, a lot of things happened in 2nd grade and 3rd grade and 4th grade. A lot of things happened. A lot of things happened yesterday. Some things will happen today. But now you are in the place that you understand about vibration. Now you are in the place that you understand that your emotions tell you about how you are feeling. And they tell you how much of who you really are you are allowing. So when you get this straight in your mind, that when you are allowing who you really are, you feel eager, you feel sure, you feel powerful, you feel adventurous, you feel healthy, you feel vital and alive, you feel well. You are source energy pouring through these physical bodies. And anything less than that is you pinching it off a little bit, then it's pretty easy for you to begin to guide yourself into thoughts and words and actions that feel good while you're thinking them. Because as you are feeling good, then you are in the vibrational place of allowing who you really are to pour through you. It is so much fun to watch our physical friends coming back consciously and deliberately into their own power.